Welcome to highlights for the 10th round of the CUPRA SimRacing Series from Suzuka. It was Gergo Bowdy on pole position ahead of Moritz Lerner and Bence Banke, and on the run down towards turn 1, it was Moritz Lerner who would have the best launch. On the inside and heavy on the brakes, he'd opened the door as well for Bence Banke to sneak through. Over the first apex he goes, taking an awful lot of curb, but Bence Banke, once it got to the second one, was ahead of Gergo Bowdy. Our guest car today was Jaroslav Honzik, who would start making his way up the order as Shanto and Attila Dina came together at the final chicane, opening him up for a couple of positions. Back towards the front of the field, and Bence Banke was applying pressure to Moritz Lerner. Lerner would run wide at T1, opening the door for Banke, who would fire it through and gather the lead at the second apex. Moritz Lerner wasn't waiting around though. He would be firing some shots back towards Bence Banke. Gergo Bowdy, a bit of a mistake there, almost opened the door for him to drop off the podium. David Noj fired one down the inside at Spoon Corner on Florian Haase. It wouldn't work out by the time they got to 130R, and with this battling, the top 5 would be pulling away. Later on the next lap, and Florian Haase would make a mistake over the chicane, giving him a slowdown penalty, costing the position to David Noj. But Noj, sensing the top 5 were clearing off, would come down the pit lane straight away. Jack Keithley would sense an opportunity to grab a podium position as he would dive down the inside of Gergo Bowdy and grab third at the hairpin. On board with Pinches, he would watch second, third and fourth come into the pit lane as Moritz Lerner would lead Jack Keithley and Gergo Bowdy. David Noj did make up a bit of time as he would close up towards the 3 that had already pitted. Then at the end of that lap, Bence Banke would come down pit lane and drag Adam Pinches with him, but was it too late? On board with Moritz Lerner. You can see there Pinches and then Banke coming out of pit lane, Lerner to the lead of the race. And Banke would shuffle out with David Noj just a little bit further down the order. There'd be contact between Banke and Keithley as we'd run into the S's section, and a bit of a pinch between the lot as David Noj wasn't able to get through. Banke would waste no time trying to make a move on Jack Keithley, but Keithley wasn't a fan of a dive bomb from that far back. Adam Pinches, in his attempt through the pit lane, received a drive-through penalty, would drop him outside of the top 7 battle that he was a part of. Bence Banke then would really fire it down the inside of Keithley. There'd be contact between the two as they were both pinched, and then across the chicane they go, would get a slowdown penalty. Jack Keithley would take his straight away and then would drop the position to David Noj. Bence Banke would wait a while. He would then slow down outside of the S's section at Dunlop, and David Noj sensed his opportunity that this was the time that he could grab the position from Banke. But because Banke had waited so long, he then had to drop behind Keithley and Florian Haase, bringing Haase right back into the mix. It wouldn't take long though for him to try something different as Jack Keithley would get a little bit balked by David Noj, would be 4 wide off of the hairpin, and going from 6th to 3rd, Bence Banke gains all 3 places in one corner. Battle for the race lead. Gergo Bowdy, Moritz Lerner. Bowdy down the inside of turn 2 would try and make his way up to the race lead. Then this excellent display between the two of them. Going through the S's section, this would cost them an awful lot of time, but my goodness did it look good. As they would fly their way through, respect between the two of them. Gergo Bowdy had the inside through the exit of the S's section, the outside for Dunlop, and would take the race lead. After this, he'd maybe struggle a little bit with tyres and would end up slowing Moritz Lerner down towards the pack behind, and Bence Banke was closing in. Moritz Lerner sensed that, and he would fire it down the inside of turn 1, desperate to take the lead as early as possible, and he would do so. To the lead of the race goes Moritz Lerner. Final lap of the race though, the 3 of them would come together at turn 1. It would open the door a little bit for Banke to try and force his way through, and he would do so, pushing Moritz Lerner off on the exit curb of turn 2. But Bence Banke would really force his way alongside through the S's section, wouldn't give the same level of space that Gergo Bowdy did earlier in the race. Just behind this, into turn 1, there'd be contact between Noj and Keithley, both of them into the gravel trap and heavily into the wall. Jack Keithley would retire on the spot, and David Noj would keep going to the checkered flag. At the front of the field though, Bence Banke takes his 2nd race victory of the season from Moritz Lerner and Gergo Bowdy.